Welcome to Tech Topic, two-factor authentication. So my name is Tanisha, and I am joined here with James. Good evening, James. How you doing?
Doing very, very well. Thank you for having me.
All right. So James, I'm going to go ahead and let you dive right into our content. I am going to go ahead and turn off my camera. I will invite you to do the same, and let's get in. Let's get into it.
All right. So first, we're going to go ahead and we're going to start with our resource shout out. Go ahead and head to that resource shout out. We do offer one of our digital reference services is Hoopla. There are a lot of ebooks and audiobooks and comic books and movies and television shows, all directly available through hcplc.org and with your library card. So log into Hoopla and check out some of the stuff that we have. There's a lot of interesting stuff there. So with that, let's go ahead and go on to the next slide. So what is two-factor authentication? Two-factor authentication is just signing into a device or a website using two different pieces of information. So a lot of people actually use two-factor authentication in real life, and now it's moving over to the digital life as well. So imagine if you're going to an ATM, you have to put in your ATM card, and you have to go ahead and put in your PIN number to withdraw any funds or check your account. Same sort of thing. Now they're moving that sort of authentication over to the digital space by logging into your email, logging into websites, logging into different devices and stuff. What types of two-factor authentication are there? There are things that you can know, such as passwords or secret bits of information or answers to secret questions. It can be something that you have, such as a USB device or your cell phone, something that it would be very unlikely for someone to have besides you. On your phone, you could have programs such as authenticators, or when you attempt to sign into a website, it could send you like a text message for you to have to respond back to. Another type is something that's inherent. When you log into a device or to a website, it could do a fingerprint scan or a face scan in addition to your password. The last one is location. It isn't as common right now. This is usually used in office settings. So there will be some sort of device that'll see that you are actually at a certain location, and while you're at that location, you'll have access to certain things that you won't have access to outside. So there may be, like, if you're at work, you may have to log into a work website using your work password, and it's only going to work. You're only going to be able to log in actually at your job, and if you attempt to log in like from home using your password, since you're not at work, it's not going to work. So when it comes to two-factor authentication now, the most common way for it to happen is through your cell phone. So make sure you have your cell phone with you, because usually it's going to be a notification or authenticator or something along those lines. Let's go on to the next slide, please. So common two-factor authentication message would be receiving a text, an email, or a phone call. And this is something that you'll encounter if you need to reset a password on your email account, or if you're signing in at a public location like one of our computers here at the library. When you sign into your Yahoo or your Google Mail, you may get a text message, or it may send you a phone call. It may ask you if you don't remember your password, or since you're at a public place, the website realizes, hey, this isn't where I usually am. Is this actually you? And the reason that you're using more than one method is because it's less likely for someone to have access to multiple methods that only you have access to keep your account secure. Authenticator apps. So authenticator apps, what they do is they generate a random code. This code synchronizes with all sorts of websites and such with your account. So it may ask for you to go into this app and read the code, enter the code that's on this app into the website that you're trying to sign on to. And the app refreshes every 30 seconds to every minute or so. And your codes are unique only to you and will appear only on your device. This has to be set up well before. It's not something that you can just randomly do. Receiving a notification on a mobile device. This one's really, really common with Google websites. So if you sign into your email, Google may send you a text message or a push notification that says, hey, is this actually you? Sign into this. And then you would actually click yes on this text message or this push notification. And then it would actually allow you to enter into your email or your website after this. Biggest key with two-factor, two different methods. It's password or security question in addition to this other thing like a text message or a fingerprint or a voice message or something along those lines. Couple things to remember. The way that things are working now, your cell phone is the most common device when being used as a two-factor authentication device, whether it's a text message, a phone call, a push notification. So make sure if you're going to an unknown location to keep your phone with you. So it's always important to keep your phone secure so that way no one can get into it, and you always have your device on you. There are certain email services, if you go to a public location like one of our libraries, if you don't have your cell phone, it may not necessarily let you in because it can't confirm that it's you. It's just an extra layer of security. Also, even though two-factor authentication is more secure, it's not perfect. So you do need to make sure that you keep your devices on you, you keep your devices secure, so that way you can't have, make it less likely for someone to steal your device in addition to having your passwords to get in. Less likely, not impossible. Always be careful, always be secure with your information. All right, and that's basically two-factor authentication. Does anybody have any questions?
All righty, thank you so much, James, for that awesome presentation. So I'm going to wait a few minutes here for some questions to roll in, and of course, please ask those questions. We welcome them. And that was some really good information. I know that I've gotten jammed up, like my phone will be charging in one room and then I'll sign into something and I'm like, oh, I gotta go get my phone. I left it in another room. So that is very good information. So looks like we have a question here. Somebody is asking, if given the option, which do you think is the most secure method of two-factor authentication?
Personally, I think authenticator apps are probably some of the most secure right now, just because they're relatively easy to set up, but they do take a lot of effort. So you'd have to go to your website, sign in on the authenticator app, do like a QR code, and this whole kind of like back and forth sort of thing. As much as I'd like to say fingerprints or face scans are the most secure, there aren't a lot of devices that have that connected to many websites just yet. So authenticator apps are much more common. So I think they're a little bit more secure at the moment. Eventually it'll get to the point where I think fingerprints and face scans are going to be a little bit more ubiquitous, but they're just not there just yet.
Yeah, and it looks like you can really only use them when you're using your device for certain things. Like if you have an iPhone, for instance, you can use it for like Apple Pay and stuff, but like that's only going to help you if you're using Apple Pay. It's not going to help you if you're using anything else. So yeah, it seems about right. Another question here. What should you do if you lose the device being used to authenticate?
It's going to vary depending on the service that you're attempting to sign into. Like for Google, I know that it offers you multiple different ways to attempt to sign into your accounts when you lose your device. So it may try the Authenticator app. After that, it may send you an email to a different email source. It may have you do security questions. So it has different layers where it'll try a whole bunch of different things to give you an opportunity to get into your account. Other services may only do that Authenticator app. I haven't had much firsthand experience, honestly, with losing a device and having to restart from scratch. So it depends on which service you're signing into. You're gonna have to take a look on a case-by-case basis because it may be different. With your banks, you may actually need to go in and show a photo identification to get back into like your bank account. But for an email, you may be able to do, a backup email or a backup phone number or security questions or something like that. And other websites, may have you reset your password from scratch and then create a new link to a different authenticator app on your new device, and it'll lock out all the old authenticator apps. So it's a case-by-case basis, but it's just going to take a little bit of effort no matter what.
Yep. Oh, this is a good one. Got a good question here for you, James. Do you have any suggestions when you're in a location with no smartphone signal?
Well, there's a caveat there. Is there Wi-Fi access? Because mobile devices usually have Wi-Fi and cellular service. So if you don't have cellular service, you might be able to get Wi-Fi service. If there isn't Wi-Fi service, then you're going to have to look for another method where it's a phone call or a text message or something along those lines. Usually, if you're going to have access to the internet on one device, most places now will have Wi-Fi access in a similar location. So hopefully that's not as much of an issue. But if for some reason you can't get onto your cell phone, then you're just going to have to look for another method to see whatever service you're signing into has access to a different method to be able to access your stuff. No Wi-Fi?
Yeah, and I know that they sent a message back with if you don't have Wi-Fi. I know that that's a really hard one because I think we're so used to everything being able to be connected, whether or not with cellular or Wi-Fi. I know that with like some banking institutions, for instance, they will give you the option for a phone call for that reason, because especially with banks, like you need your money. You need your money. So I know that some are investing in that, like a way to authenticate that's not web-based, but I know the overwhelming majority of them are. All right, so that was a wonderful discussion. Thank you so much for those questions, everybody. Thank you, James, for answering them. So we're going to go ahead and wrap it up. So a couple of things. As always, we end all of our programs the same way. Contact us, phone, text, email, carrier pigeon, however you want to contact us, you can. Programs and events. Definitely make sure to check out our events calendar. Right now, we are in Women's History Month. So you are interested in learning a little bit about women's history, definitely recommend you check out some of our women's history programs. We have some good ones. We also, on our landing page, have some wonderful book lists for you as well. And of course, I have to shout out our next tech topic. The link is in the chat. So if you want to register for that next tech topic, we will be doing cloud services. Again, that link to register is in the chat. So we'll be talking about cloud services. Thank you again, James, for joining me. I always love it when I am joined with friends so we can talk about all things tech. So thanks again for joining me, James.
You're very welcome. Thank you for having me.
All right, everybody, you have a good evening. Bye now.
Good night. Take care.